Welcome to this week's edition of Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Mackenzie Collins.
And I'm Kayla Evans. We have a lot in store for tonight's show. We'll be reviewing Auburn's win over Arkansas, Auburn soccer and volleyball, and even some notable Auburn alumni in the pros.
Following last week's loss to number 2 Georgia, Auburn went on the road to take on number 17 Arkansas. Here's Jay Gonzalez with the story.
Auburn looks to bounce back this week against number 17 Arkansas, following last week's loss to number 2 Georgia. Bo Nix and the Auburn offense like to return to form following 2 mini drop passes against the Bulldogs. The Auburn defense was without linebacker Owen Papo yet again and would have to figure out how to stop the run game without him. Auburn got the ball to start the game and took their time getting downfield. Quick underneath routes were moving the ball and giving the Tigers the confidence they needed early. Bo Nix hit Javarius Johnson with a 39-yard touchdown pass to give Auburn the early 7-0 lead. Auburn's defense struggled for most of the game to stop the Razorback offense, but time and time again, they would get the stops they needed to slow the Razorbacks down. In the third quarter, Derek Hall strip-sacked Arkansas quarterback K.J. Jefferson along the goal line, and Marcus Harris recovered it in the end zone for an Auburn touchdown, and it changed the game's momentum. Auburn's rushing attack finally returned, and Tank Bigsby carried the load. Bigsby rushed for 68 yards and 1 touchdown. Bo Nix added to the ground game with 42 yards and 1 touchdown as well. Bo Nix turned in yet another good performance for Auburn, going 21 for 26 for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Demetrius Robinson led all Auburn receivers with 81 yards in the air, including his 71-yard touchdown reception to extend the Auburn lead in the third. Explosive plays like Derek Hall's sack and Robertson's 71-yard reception have just been what the Tigers are missing. Auburn moves to 5-2 on the season, 2-1 in SEC play, and will go into a bye week next week. When Auburn returns, they'll take on Ole Miss on October 30th in Jordan-Hare. For Eagle Eye TV, this is Jay Gonzalez.
Slow starts have plagued the Auburn offense for much of the season. On the road in Fayetteville, that was not the case. Auburn moved the ball methodically down the field their first drive, and it was capped off with a Bo Nix 39-yard touchdown to Javarius Johnson. Auburn and Arkansas would duke it out for most of the game until Auburn defensive end Derek Hall strip-sacked K.J. Jefferson and Marcus Harris recovered it in the end zone for an Auburn touchdown.
Auburn capitalized on the momentum created from that play. After Arkansas turned it over on downs when they got the ball back, Bo Nix hit Demetrius Robertson for a 71-yard touchdown. Auburn had flipped the game on its head and never looked back. With the win, Auburn moves to 5-2 on the season and 2-1 in SEC play. On Sunday, Auburn moved back into the AP Top 25 at number 19.
Quarterback Bo Nix turned in yet another good performance this week. Nix did it through the air and on the ground. Nix went 21 for 26 for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. He also rushed for 42 yards and the game-clinching touchdown. Auburn's rushing attack finally returned after being missing the last few weeks. The Tigers rushed for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sophomore Tank Bigsby was the leading rusher for Auburn as he totaled 68 yards and 1 touchdown.
Quarterback Bo Nix was honored by the Davy O'Brien Foundation on Monday for his performance over the weekend. This is the first time he has gotten this honor this season. With the honor, he is now on the Davy O'Brien Mid-Season Award watch list and a candidate for the Davy O'Brien National Quarterback Award.
Auburn is off this weekend, but will return to action on October 30th at 6 p.m. Central Time against number 12 Ole Miss in Jordan-Hare Stadium. When we return, we will talk about Auburn soccer, volleyball, and a little equestrian. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Auburn soccer improves their win streak to 3 games following a shutout victory over the Florida Gators. Here are the highlights from the game.
The 23rd ranked Auburn Tigers brought unranked Florida Gators to the Auburn Soccer Complex Sunday afternoon. Auburn is currently 4th in the SEC and is looking for their first conference title since 2011, in which Auburn beat Florida 3-2. The first half was slow for both teams as Auburn outshot Florida 15-0. 11 different Tigers tallied at least 1 shot, with sophomore Anna Haddock leading with 4 on the day. Through 14 games, Haddock has scored 8 goals and assisted on 7 others. After a scoreless first half, Marissa Arias fired one in from 18 yards out. Arias has scored 7 goals in Auburn's last 9 games, including the winner against LSU. The second goal came from Sydney Richards, who was in perfect position after Haddock's blocked shot. Auburn looked to put this game out of reach in the 79th minute when Maddie Simpson took a 10-yard shot. However, Florida's goalkeeper got a hand on it and sent the ball the opposite way. Auburn's Maddie Prohaska saw only 2 shots from Florida and saved one of them. Prohaska and the Tigers have shut out their opponents 8 times this season, with 5 of those matchups played at home. With the win, Auburn moves to 11-3 on the year and 5-2 in conference play. Their next challenge is at home against number 6 Arkansas in a battle for first in the SEC West. Live from the Auburn Soccer Complex, I'm Mackenzie Collins, Eagle Eye TV.
Auburn improves their overall record to 11-3 on the year and 5-2 in the SEC. Here's what head coach Karen Hoppe and midfielder Marissa Aries had to say following the Tigers' 3rd straight shutout.
Florida's a good team, and they've got some really dangerous attacking players, and I thought our defense was just phenomenal. And really, Mooney and Whitaker on the outside played great, but what Craven and Melanson are doing at center back is just incredible. I'll start with Marissa. I mean, now it's a banger. I mean, she's been playing so good, and she's just getting started in her career. You know, she's a redshirt sophomore, was coming off knee injury last year. This is her first time to get consistent minutes at this level, and every time she steps on the field, she's getting more and more comfortable. She's obviously wasn't even starting first half of the year, and now second half she's been a consistent starter for us, and she's just so creative. I was telling them, I don't want to hear a word about the next game, and we've talked about that all year, right? We've got to focus on the game in front of us. That's the most important game, is the next game. So I was reminding the players of that, and then I just had to remind myself too, because really this game's more important from a national picture. This game's more important. Arkansas's RPI is top 3 in the country. You're going to play them, your RPI is going to go up no matter what the result is. Everywhere in this league is really hard to play. They're great crowds, and travel in this league is really difficult, I think, in any sport. So playing at home is huge advantage, and I'm really grateful because we have the short rest. Obviously, we played Sunday, Arkansas played Friday, so we have a shorter rest. So I'm really thankful we are at home to take advantage of the time that we do have before we play.
Coach told us we just had to kind of just sharpen some things up, and specifically us forwards, holding the ball up and not trying to be too cheeky with anything, really just playing simple. It's felt really nice, actually, just been trying to take advantage of the opportunities that I get. I know at this level they don't come around very often, so just trying to do what strikers do and just put it in the back of the net. Yeah, we've just been trying to take it game by game and just focusing on the next one. So not trying to look too far ahead of our schedule and really just trying to focus everything that we have, all of our energy on the game at hand. So that was the most important game.
I just knew that we had to put something in, and I knew that we had been working so hard, and we were so close the whole game. So for me personally, it was really just focusing on the small things and making sure that I was doing everything I could out wide to help us get a goal in any way that I could, and I was just lucky enough to be there at the right time. It helps when coach is constantly telling us, we need to make sure we're focusing on the game. All of our practices are based around the team that we're playing. So I think everybody just knows that we can't get to the next game without finishing this game, and that's just what we just needed to focus on.
The Tigers take on their 4th ranked matchup this season tonight against the number 6 ranked Arkansas Razorbacks. Auburn has lost their previous 3 ranked matchups by just 1 goal in each game. The game against the 12-2 Razorbacks begins at 6:30 Central Time at the Auburn Soccer Complex and can be streamed on the ESPN app.
Auburn volleyball returned back to the Auburn Arena this past weekend for 2 matches against the Missouri Tigers. The first match on Saturday saw Auburn take down the Missouri Tigers in straight sets. It was the first win for Auburn over Missouri in 12 matches dating back to 1996. Auburn dominated the match from start to finish, outscoring Missouri in kills, assists, aces, and blocks. Junior Rebecca Rath was once again the player of the game as she finished with 17 kills and 4 blocks.
Both Tigers return to Auburn Arena on Sunday for the second match of the series. Here's Eagle Eye's Colin Baserdorf with the match's highlights.
The Auburn Tigers took on Missouri for the second straight day on Sunday. Following a slow start in set 1, the Tigers came back to force a deuce, but it was too little too late as Missouri took the first set with a score of 27-25. Auburn followed that up by taking set 2 with a score of 25-20. In set 3, Missouri went on a 7-1 run. Auburn clawed back and went up 17-15, but relinquished the lead and the set to Missouri. With their backs against the wall, Auburn came out strong in set 4, going on a 6-0 run and winning the set 25-21. In the 5th and final set, Missouri took the lead 6-5 and never looked back, winning the set 15-11. Despite the loss, Rebecca Rath put on an impressive performance with 22 kills, 12 digs, 3 blocks, and an ace. Bella Rosenthal continued to put up impressive numbers in her senior season with 33 digs. Auburn will travel to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs in a 2-game series, the first of which will be played Thursday, October 21st at 6 p.m. This has been Colin Beiersdorf with Eagle Eye TV.
The now 11-7 Tigers go back on the road Thursday and Friday for a series against the 5-12 Georgia Bulldogs. The Tigers are still searching for their first win of the season on the road as they lost all 4 matches to the start of the season. Both Thursday and Friday's matches are set for 6 o'clock Central Time and can be streamed on the ESPN app.
We are just over 2 weeks away from Auburn men's basketball's tipping off their season in an exhibition game against Southern Indiana. On Monday, the Associated Press preseason top 25 poll was released, which the Tigers coming in at number 22 to begin the 2021-2022 season. This is the 7th time in program history the Tigers have been ranked in the top 25 preseason poll prior to the start of the season. Auburn is one of 8 programs that have both football and basketball teams ranked inside the top 25.
Auburn is one of 5 SEC schools featured in the AP Poll's top 25 preseason poll. The other SEC schools are Kentucky coming in at 10, Alabama at 14, Arkansas at 16, and Tennessee at 18. Here's what head coach Bruce Pearl had to say.
Yeah, I think it says a lot. The state of basketball in the SEC is maybe never been better. If you're good enough to finish in the top 5 in our league, you're good enough to get to the Final Four, and we proved that a couple of years ago. And I think that's the case this year. I think there are legitimately 9 or 10 teams in our league that are good enough to make the tournament, and I think there are legitimately, I want to say 7 or 8 teams that are going to make the tournament. I mean, I think this has got a chance to be a banner year for our league from a standpoint of the number of teams that are going to be in. I think the pecking order was really, let's just say the top 8 or 9 teams. I thought they're pretty spot on. There are several teams that are below 5 that could easily finish in the top 5. That's how good and balanced I think the league is. And look at the quality of the players. In the last 2 years, the SEC has dominated the NBA draft over the last 2 years compared to the other leagues. So we're getting the best players. I think we've got the best coaches, and as a result, the rankings are what they are. For us, getting there with potentially 5 new starters, that's to me just incredible. Like we really could have 5 new starters this year, and yet they think we got a chance to finish, be preseason top 25. That's usually hard to do, and so we got a lot of work to do to be one of those teams now, because we're not there yet because we're so new. But I really like my team, and so we'll see how good we are pretty soon.
Number 1 ranked Auburn Equestrian was upset this past weekend in Stillwater, Oklahoma, against the number 4 ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys. The match came down to the very last ride between the Tigers and the Cowboys, where the Cowboys took home the tightly contested match with a final score of 10-9. The Tigers started off strong with a 7-2 lead following fences and horsemanship. Then Oklahoma State picked up some momentum and won 8 straight in raining and flat to give them the team victory.
Following the loss on Friday, the Tigers traveled to Dallas, Texas for a matchup against the number 3 ranked SMU Mustangs on Saturday. The Tigers were able to rebound from Friday's loss and win in a dominant fashion against SMU. Auburn swept all 4 categories and improved to 2-1 on the year after an 11-7 win over the Mustangs. Auburn returns back home this weekend for matches against Lynchburg on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock and Fresno State on Saturday morning at 11 a.m.
When we return, we will look at former Auburn football players making headlines in the NFL. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn. We will be right back. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. Tampa Bay defensive back Jamel Dean had yet another good performance this past weekend. Dean intercepted another pass this week for the 5th of his career and 2nd this season. The reigning Super Bowl champ has now picked off passes in back-to-back weeks to help get Tampa's 5th win of the season. Dean now leads the Buccaneers in interceptions this season.
Former Auburn linebacker Josh Bynes had his best performance of the season this past weekend for the Baltimore Ravens. Bynes turned out 6 total tackles and 1 tackle for loss. He also deflected a pass in the Ravens' 34-6 win over the LA Chargers. That's all for Sports Night in Auburn, but for more Auburn sports, head to our website, eagleeyeauburn.com, where we'll have everything you need to know to stay up to date to Auburn sports. I'm Mackenzie Collins.
And I'm Kayla Evans. For even more sports, follow our Twitter at EETV_sports and follow our Instagram at EagleEyeTV. Good night and War Eagle.